Caleb and I get on the phone this morning, and we have different thoughts about the Tennessee basketball team. What the H?
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
Okay, if you stayed up late last night, you might be a little dreary-eyed because they kept pushing that game back, but here we go. I feel blank about Tennessee's basketball team after the Virginia game. Better or worse? What the H brought to you by Medicare Misty. Caleb, I was surprised, and I read your column, so I was surprised by the column, but when I talked this morning to you, I was like, I don't see Tennessee advancing very far unless this group gets a lot better. I may have said the same thing about Dalton Connect. As a matter of fact, that group last year. As a matter of fact, I'm sure I did. But you actually feel much better about Tennessee's basketball team after the Virginia game. Why?
I do. Guys, Tennessee just beat Virginia at their own game. I mean, did y'all watch the first half of that game? It was an ugly slugfest. Virginia held Tennessee to 22 points, and Tennessee went into halftime up 22-21. And Virginia very deliberately made the game like that. You would agree with me on that, Dave, right? That was a purposeful design to keep it that hideous and ugly, right?
Absolutely. And I think that Virginia is probably a little bit concerned by the trio of new players that Tennessee has and that one might develop into a Dalton Connect and they could suddenly explode on you. So I think that was a real factor early in the season. You don't want to get blown out, but they ended up getting semi.
What happened? Tennessee blew them out, beat them 64-42, exploded on them in the second half. Chaz Lanier, Dave, at some point you're going to have to start thinking he could be the next Dalton Connect. I mean, this dude can take over games in a way that
the problem.
26 points, more than Virginia's entire starting five combined. And I'm not even done. Igor Milicic Jr. comes in and scores 14 points in the post. So Tennessee works Virginia in the paint. They have a great inside-out game. It overcomes Zakai Ziegler shooting horrible from the field yesterday, like having his worst shooting performance I've seen in a long time. What we're seeing very clearly is Tennessee can withstand multiple players having really bad shooting nights because they got a guy who can take over in Chaz Lanier, and they got a lot of options. And I'm not done, but I'll let you go because I'm gonna cook. So, but you can go first.
Okay. All I'm going to tell you is they have to have a guy that they can go to consistently that can provide points. If they didn't have Dalton Connect, they don't beat Auburn last year. They certainly don't make the Elite Eight. They're certainly not the talk of the college football or college basketball world. And you want to compare Chaz Lanier to Dalton Connect and his ability to take over a game. Will you at least give me that my scouting report was right? That when he shoots the ball from three, he tends to push the ball and brings it too close to the front of his body instead of back and release. Like Connect has the most beautiful shot right now of any rookie in the NBA. Will you at least give me that? And that's more defendable, and they have to address that.
It's more defendable. I'll give you that, and they may have to address it, but you would think that Virginia, a defensive specialist team, would be able to be the ones to defend it more than anything else, and they couldn't defend it yesterday. Chaz Lanier's red-hot three-point shooting is not, by the way, what's going to stand out to me throughout the year. The thing about Chaz Lanier more than anything is he puts the ball on the floor and he can manufacture points from inside the paint. I think Tennessee's going to have other options from three going forward. Igor Milicic, like I talked about, can step outside. He could go 2 of 3. Zakai Ziegler was awful last night, but can be red hot from 3. Jordan Gainey can come off the bench and do it. And just a couple of points. Darling Stone Dubar finally got some action yesterday, Dave. And they're going to start working him back into the lineup. Guys, he had 4 points, but he was very efficient when he was on the court. And I'm telling you guys, Chaz Lanier is Tennessee's go-to scorer. There is no Dalton Connect on this team, though, because if Chaz Lanier is not working out, they can turn to a bunch of other options to step up. You want them to be like, Dave wants Tennessee basketball to be like NSYNC, where it was just Justin Timberlake and JC Chazé. I think that's what that last year's team was. This year's team is more like the Backstreet Boys. where all 5 guys sing
Oh,
and all 5 guys provide significant roles. Okay, Dave thinks that teams are built like NSYNC. I think they're built like the Backstreet Boys, the best teams. And
did you see where Justin Timberlake was shooting hoops at the Pratt Pavilion Center, by the way?
yes, I did actually. Did you know that in NSYNC's very first music video, Justin Timberlake is wearing a Peyton Manning, Tennessee jersey?
No, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
It's before Peyton Manning got drafted, too.
Okay.
So
Dalton Connect can be as big of a star as Justin Timberlake one day if he continues on the path that he's on. None of these guys can be as big of a star. You have to at least give me that. There's a glass ceiling.
yes, but if you have a bunch of people hitting a high glass ceiling versus one that goes way above and a bunch of other people that don't get close to that, I mean, I think this team's better built. Now, I can give you a drawback. Can I give you a drawback, Dave, too? Because I wrote about it. I wrote about this, too. Don't worry about JP Estrella. He'll be fine when he gets healthy. Same with Darlington Duber working his way into the lineup. Cameron Carr's injury is more problematic than people think. It's not about missing time in November and December because, Dave, you and I both know if you're going to have players injured, it kind of works to your favor if they're injured in November and December, right? Because then you can get other guys to step in and develop more than they need to. Is that fair to say?
Yes. And by the way, people asking why was Justin Timberlake in Knoxville? He was doing a concert there. My wife has still not forgiven me for not paying for that ticket. But go ahead.
I've seen him twice. So he does put on a good show, by the way. Very, very, very musically talented. Anyways, what was I saying? Okay, so the reason Cameron Carr's injury is an issue is what do you use November and December for in college basketball, Dave, more than anything?
To figure out who you are and to come together as chemistry.
And to bring along guys that developed in the off season that just need more game action to really hit their potential, right?
Yes.
Cameron Carr was that guy. Well, if he's missing all of November and December, and you thought this was a weapon you would have for depth when the NCAA tournament comes in March, when are you going to bring him along? You don't really do that in January or February, do you? Because that's when you really got to start taking games seriously.
That's when you got to start sorting the bench, especially in February. I don't have a problem with you taking a lot of look at guys in January, but definitely when you get to February, you got to chill out.
Yeah, and Cameron Carr is going to be working his way back in January, and then you got to develop chemistry and rhythm with him in February. I mean, I don't see how they can have Cameron Carr be the weapon they need him to be when March rolls around. I do with JP Estrella. I do with Darlington Dubar. I don't really see it with Cameron Carr, and that's an extra depth weapon they really thought they could have. So that injury could be problematic for Tennessee. But I do think when Darlington Dubar gets more rhythm, he's going to be elite. I think that you keep saying Chaz Lanier's not Dalton Connect. But, Dave, Tennessee can go to Chaz Lanier, Darlington Dubar, Zakai Ziegler, maybe Jordan Gainey off the bench, Igor Milicic Jr. They can go to even Jemai Mashak at times. Zakai Ziegler was a 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He's not even the best defender on his own team because Jemai Mashak's on his team. So,
So Derek says, literally, I'm as negative about Barnes as Butch Jones. I just don't believe in him. Therefore, I don't even really root for a basketball team. It's silly because I love Tennessee basketball prior. Barnes, Derek, you've been on like a heater recently of great comments. That to me is way, way hardcore.
Well, Derek did just disrespect my hometown by trying to say Justin Timberlake's from Knoxville and he is from Memphis. He's actually from Millington, just outside of Memphis. But yeah, what? I'm going back to that. What? Barnes is Butch Jones? The Champions of Life guy? Come on. Derek, you're stretching. You're really stretching on that. Okay, Barnes nobody holds their players more accountable than Barnes. As a matter of fact, people, I don't know if you know this, Dave, people in the media kind of get frustrated with Rick Barnes because it feels like he never takes any accountability for himself and puts it all on his players because he's so hard on them. He grinds them so hard. Does Butch Jones, did he ever grind his players hard?
No, the best player of the three is Igor. That's a fact.
I think it's going to be Dubar. Darlington Dubar is going to be the best.
Are we both saying that Chaz Lanier is not going to be the best player of the three because he was the highest rated coming in?
I think Chaz Lanier, well, he could actually. We're talking about 3 weapons, Dave. You're talking. If would you rather have 1 Dalton or 3 Dalton lights?
Boy, see, I think Dalton was so special. You know what you're asking me? Okay, if you gave me a Vincent Yarbrough or 3 Vincent Yarbrough lights. I would say 3 Vincent Yarbrough lights. But I think Dalton is at such a higher level by what he's doing in the NBA. I think you're talking about lights. I think you're not even talking about like ultras. You're talking about some sort of beer that has like 0.05% alcohol.
You are way overvaluing one guy. I think, did you ever watch Moneyball?
Yes.
Remember when they were all trying to recreate Jason Giambi and Brad Pitt, or Billy Bean's character, Brad Pitt's character, Billy Bean, literally says, guys, we can't replace him. We can just recreate him in the aggregate if we get these select group of players all together.
You know the problem with Moneyball?
What?
They never won a championship.
Because you know why they never won a championship?
Because they didn't have they didn't have great players.
No, because after they did it, they just decided, let's write a book and tell everybody our secret. I mean, that's why they didn't win a championship. But you know who did? The Red Sox, because they employed the exact same method the next year while also taking steroids, but different story. What I'm trying to say is that you can recreate Dalton Connect in the aggregate with Chaz Lanier, Darlington Dubar, and Igor Milicic Jr. You absolutely can.
Okay.
And that's what they're doing.